Welcome back to another episode of Consciously Clueless. I'm your host, Carly, and I'll be your guide on this journey from consciousness to cluelessness and back around again. Thanks for joining me for another Sunday solo episode. Whether it's Sunday night and you're gearing up for your week, Monday morning and you're on your way to work, or whatever day this podcast has found you, I'm really glad you're here. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Is there something interfering with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals? By now, you all know that therapy is an important part of my own self-care. It has truly been a game changer in every aspect of my life, including achieving goals. BetterHelp is the largest online therapy platform worldwide. They are changing the way people get help with facing life's challenges by providing convenient, discreet, and affordable access to a licensed therapist. BetterHelp makes professional therapy available anytime, anywhere, through a computer, tablet, or smartphone. You can start communicating within 48 hours. It's not a crisis line, it's not self-help. It is professional therapy done securely online. And I have a special offer for Consciously Clueless listeners. Visit BetterHelp.com/Carly and join the over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. By using this code, you get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/CARLY. Take care of yourself today. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. All right, I am so excited to be talking today about having a sustainable holiday. I've talked about sustainability and different parts of that journey for me, different tips and tricks. I've had a lot of guests that have shared so much good information on how to be more sustainable or eco-friendly or whatever word you want to use. And today I want to specifically talk about the holiday season. So the holiday season, unfortunately, creates a ton of waste. I talked about this a little bit when I did an episode on kind of tricks to be a little more sustainable during Halloween. Times that by like a bazillion jillion, and that is how much waste is created during the holiday season. And by holiday season, I'm talking about Christmas, New Year's, kind of this December, January period where marketing of shit that we don't need, I don't even know what else to call it, goes through the roof. Astronomical. So, there are so many pieces that go into the holiday season. Presents, decorating, gathering for food, and wrapping said presents, and all of these things. So it can be a little overwhelming to think about, well, how do I make this more sustainable? And I think a lot of people think if I want to be more sustainable, if I want to think about the earth when I make these choices, I'm not going to get to have fun. And that is just simply not true. You can still do, I guarantee, almost any tradition you've had with your holiday season and make it a little more sustainable, and it will still be fun and it'll still be what you need it to be. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is decorating. There are so many Christmas decorations, specifically Christmas, Santa Claus and angels and gingerbread cookies and everything else. If you go to Target or Walmart or basically any retail shop right now, you will see lots of red and green stuff. Now, if you are someone who loves Christmas and you think that this episode is going to make me sound like the Grinch, just hold on. I promise. It's not like I'm telling you not to get those things, but maybe you can be a little more conscious of the decorations. If you feel like you have to purchase something, make sure you're purchasing something that you will use year after year, that is maybe of some sort of quality that you can store it and use it again next year. Single-use decorations, there is so much waste created from that. And also can actually be pretty easy to make some homemade decorations that you can either one, use again, or that are compostable because they're made out of food products. So one thing is dehydrating oranges or lemons or any type of citrus. You can do that. You can bake them. If you have a dehydrator, you can use that. You can bake them at a really low temp. Slices of oranges, just cut your oranges up and bake them for a few hours. And they end up looking really pretty, and you could put them on string or twine of some sort. And there you have a garland with beautiful oranges. You could use that to hang up in your house. You could use that around your tree. You could use one little slice as kind of like a bow or something on a present. And that's just super easy. That's literally just buying a few oranges and putting them in the oven. Another one is making a dough out of flour and salt and water, and literally just making a dough using cookie cutters or making shapes of your own, but that's not in my wheelhouse. So I would use cookie cutters to make shapes. Again, bake them. And you could either make ornaments, you could put a little hole in the top before you bake them. You could use them as ornaments, which would make fun gifts if you have fun shapes. You could put them around your tree. You could use them as garland. You could use oranges and these little creations. You could really do anything with it. And at the end of the season, those will actually keep. You can carefully package them away and they will keep. The oranges you can throw in the compost that I hope you have if you are able to compost, and just throw those oranges in there and you're done. Or you could throw them outside and the birds will pick off of them as well. So that is just a few kind of tips about decorations. If you get a tree, make sure that if you're getting a fake tree, get one that you'll use forever. Again, if you're going to make these purchases, it's not the end of the world to make the purchase. It's the fact that these purchases we make for these types of things often get seen as a single use, throw it away at the end of the year. Use that tree again and again and again. Or if you're getting a real Christmas tree, don't just throw it outside. Use it as firewood, or use it in your compost, or whatever it is. When you're done, do something with it. And, if you could make sure it came from a sustainable place where they're planting more trees, that's even better. So those are some quick decoration tips. What about presents? So my first thing about presents, does this person need it? If you are someone who loves giving gifts, I know a lot of people in my life that's pretty much their love language. That's okay. But are you getting something because they need it, or are you getting something because you think you're supposed to buy something for this person? If you are not sure what to get them, ask. I don't know when it became taboo to ask people, like we're supposed to all be mind readers and figure out what people in our lives need. If you want to buy gifts, ask someone what they need. Maybe they want something, a little treat of sorts. Maybe they need money for a trip. Whatever it is, if you're willing to spend on that, give them something they need that they're actually going to use and that doesn't end up in the garbage or just on a shelf because they don't know what to do with it. And if you do buy something, you know what? Give a gift receipt. Make sure it is going to be used, not for them, even just like for the planet. Make sure this shit doesn't end up in the garbage. If you do want to buy gifts, there are some really cool, actually sustainable brands doing amazing things. I mean, if you Google eco-friendly present ideas, there are really, really cool ideas that you could, quick DIY, or companies that are actually doing the work to be better that you could support with your money and also get someone a really cool gift. So let's skip forward. Let's say you figured out the perfect gifts for a few people in your life. Now you've got to wrap them. And that is a whole nother thing in itself. An unfortunate fact is that glittery wrapping paper with glitter or sparkles, that kind of foil, shiny foil on it, you can't recycle it. It has to go in the garbage. So if you're buying wrapping paper, don't get anything that can't be recycled. It's really counterintuitive because I think we all think that just paper can be recycled, but when it has all that stuff on it, it actually can't be, and it's such a bummer. So you could do that, but you know what? You don't even need paper. You could use newspaper. You could use paper bags from the grocery store. You could use a scarf or scraps of fabric from a thrift store. You can tie them up like a bandana. And maybe you find a pretty scarf or handkerchief, and that is a part of the gift, but you use it for wrapping. I know some people who have used pillowcases and then get them back afterwards, because really, who cares? What we care about is actually giving someone a gift they enjoy. The wrapping is just so they don't see it before you give it to them. So make sure that you maybe get a little creative, or hopefully it's less work. I mean, throw it in a towel for all I care if you're giving me a gift, and then ask for it back. It might be awkward, but if we normalize it, just because we're trying to create less waste, it doesn't have to be a big deal. So that is decorations, gifts, wrapping. Remember, we're doing a quick tips on this. Finally, there is meals. So a lot of the holidays really focus on gathering for a meal. And there are a few ways to even make that more sustainable. If you can, use reusable plates and cups and silverware and napkins. Maybe you get some fun Christmas napkins that you use year after year, or, just if you use cloth napkins, whichever ones you use on a day-to-day basis. Try and really limit the throwaway plastic stuff that can't be recycled in terms of plates and silverware and cups. Try and do that and be a little more sustainable. And maybe you are someone who doesn't have a lot of that stuff. If you're inviting people over, do a bring your own mug, and then everyone has their favorite mug to use. Get creative and don't be afraid to ask people to accommodate, and then it often gives us a chance to say why we're doing it, and it's because, hey, we can use this moment to make our holiday a little bit more sustainable, and that's kind of cool. Like, that's the present I want. And I would be remiss if I did not mention, of course, if you can make some plant-based meals for your holiday meal, you will be right there making more sustainable choices, because they are often the more sustainable choice than animal products such as dairy and meat. If you can throw some plant-based alternatives in there, you're already doing a good job. And if you have leftovers, you can send people home with them, or hopefully you can compost or make good use of them. Just try and keep the food waste to a minimum this season. I want to hear from you. If any of these tips were new and you are going to adopt them this holiday season, let me know. If I missed anything that you think is really important, also let me know and I'll share it with our community. But either way, I hope this was really helpful and that you have a holly jolly sustainable holiday. Thanks for listening to another episode of Consciously Clueless. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe wherever you're listening. If that's somewhere like Apple Podcasts, leave a review and you could be read on air as the review of the week. Looking for more podcast content, yoga videos, meditations, and all-around amazing community? Head over to patreon.com/consciouslycarly and check out what's going on. And finally, if you are ready to make changes in your life but don't really know where to begin, let's work together. Head over to consciouslycarly.com and we can start the process and get you happy. Until next time.